Bitcoin weekly chart updates. We had a close yesterday, the weekly candle at 27.1. So today we're going to look at what is next for the level of importance. We have a bunch of wavy lines on the chart. What the hell do they mean? Well, it might look a little bit busy and a little bit complex, but we really only have three things overlaid here: the Bollinger Bands, the Gaussian Channel, and moving averages. That's it. And what's the most important line on this chart, right? Take a guess, right? And it might not be what you think. If you said the median line on the Gaussian Channel, you'd be right. It's this guy right here. Why? Historically, besides the pandemic, Bitcoin has never closed a weekly candle back below that line ever, besides the pandemic. So that would be the number one most important line to be looking at. So as of right now, what is that line number? It is 24,864 and still falling week over week, right? We haven't leveled off yet, although it's trying to. So 24,864 is the number as of this week. So odds of us closing back below that this week are remote, right? Not only that, but we have a lot of support below that, just below these highs, right? These right at 25 for that high, but the close 24.3, 24.3, right? The double wicks holding resistance on the 200 week, that pink line right there. And then we broke through. There's our breakthrough candle, but still, in the lower part of this Gaussian channel, right? Prices, you can see how the candles are different, right? They're more bullish. You have more bullish price action in the upper region of this channel versus the lower region of the channel. So even though that was a great move, we broke out of the bear trend, right? Put in a new higher high here. We are now holding steady in this upper tier of the Gaussian channel on the weekly. Below that, we have our 200 week, which was resistance, should prove to be support. And what else if we zoom in here? Well, let's just go ahead and do that, and we'll get to the Bollinger Bands here in a minute. The 200 week, I mean, look at the congestion here, right? You can think of these as little safety nets, right? The 200 week, the median line in the Gaussian channel, this is the weekly picture. So we have a massive level of support, and the lowest level one being kind of right in this area, 24, right where we closed, 24.3, double weeklies, and then the breakout, right? So that should act as support in a big way. No guarantees that we even get down there again, but you can imagine a scenario where the kind of perfect storm brews, this median line comes down, and look at the time frames here. We're looking at mid-July. We're looking at 4, 5, 6 weeks maybe before we get back in this area. You could see a world where you could imagine we just kind of chop around between here and there, and then maybe we make a move later in the year back to the upside. Assuming we hold this, assuming we don't have an anomaly we haven't seen since the pandemic, the median line should not be closed back below. So that is the utmost important line to be watching on the weekly chart, certainly if we get down in that area. Now, we have a lot of support before then. The 50 week seems to be, pretty nice. This green line, right? 50 week double tap right here, this double bottom on the lows, 25.8. We want to hold that if we get back down to it. And good news, the 21 week is also there. So 21 week historically has been a great level in a bull trend, which we're in, to hold as support. That number is 25.9 as of this week. Words are hard. The low wicks, right? That's where we want to hold again. And if we tap that again, that would be even a higher low and really like just a triple test, triple hold. And, maybe good things come after that. Now, maybe we have one more final shakeout, somewhere down the line here in the next handful of weeks to kind of really test our patience and test our, emotions back at this major level here. So 24.3 as that low breakout. This is a huge zone right here, right? I mean, look how big this is. So we're starting at kind of 25.8, the low wicks here. Look at how many moving averages, the median line and the Gaussian channel on the weekly, and then these upper, closes on these weekly charts, these weekly candles here. So this is going to be major. No cause for concern. No big bears are out until we close below this zone, right? And you'll have a bunch of warnings before then. The 21-week EMA at 25.8. You'll have your 200-week right there at 25.2 and rising. That 200-week is rising. This pink line, look at that. So it's been falling all bear market, and now it's started to rise, and it's rising subtly week over week. So good sign. When you have your 200-week rising, that is a good sign. And the Gaussian Channel on the weekly, right? Still falling, but trying to level off here, right? With prices being above all these averages, right? This will start to level off slowly but surely. Phase ones of bear markets, bull markets, the end of the bear market. Phase ones of bulls tend to be, test your patience, tend to try to psychologically fake you out at every corner, right? So that's where we are, right? Don't get shaken out. Don't lose focus of where we are, right? Stop listening to, people talk and just look at the damn charts, right? The charts will not lie to you. Okay, so what else do we got? Not a whole lot. The Bollinger Bands we talked about. Look how narrow these are getting. This is the most narrow we've been since the bear market, back in this area, right, where we had our final FTX shakeout down and then sideways and then recovery. So we're looking at that now. We're back up above, and Bollinger Bands telling you by definition volatility narrowing. So the average, what are the odds? Sideways is the odds, right? Less volatility, moving averages sideways. The bigger moving average is sideways. The 200-week sideways. Look how sideways all these moving averages are. That tells you the odds of price moves are sideways. However, once the Bollinger Bands close, that is likely leading to a larger move in the not so distant future. But looking at the weekly chart, that likely means it could mean months on the weekly chart. If you're looking at the daily chart, we're probably looking at the next handful of days. But weekly chart, it's the next handful of weeks, maybe even a month or two here, right? But the designer of this, John Bollinger, right? You can follow him on Twitter. It's free. He likes that when they squeeze, they tend to, he wants to move relatively quickly, right? He doesn't want to see them squeeze and just stay in a tunnel. Then it becomes hit or miss. He wants a squeeze and then a bigger move relatively quickly. So we're looking at maybe the end of June if you want to see what Johnny B wants to happen, right? He wants a big move as they squeeze. So not too long. We could do that. We could stay in a tunnel, right? Nobody knows what's going to happen. Trying to prepare you every step of the way for what is likely to happen based on the charts, not my opinion. Hopefully you're following those that do that and not giving you, whatever BS they're feeding, right? So if you want more help navigating the markets, follow our private Telegram group, links below, through Patreon, and I'd be glad to help you there. We do multiple daily updates 5 days a week. Keep you updated every step of the way. You have the ability to request whatever you want. So join us there if you want more help navigating the markets. Otherwise, you can follow us on Twitter. And let's get to our quote of the day. First and foremost, though, I wanted to track our alt season. We'll be doing this hopefully every other video, as I remember. Altcoin season, Bitcoin season index, right? You can track this yourself. It's free. Blockchaincenter.net right there. And you just track your alts. Why aren't your alts moving great? Right? Or they seem to go good and then they fall down. Maybe like over this past weekend, maybe you saw that. Alts trying to move and then they simmer back down, right? It's because it's Bitcoin season. It says words right there, right? However, silver lining, we're at 10 now. We've been at flatlined off on damn 4 for a while, right? So basically the whole month of May, we were just low. And we recently just broke out of even May's highs. So we're at 10. So we're still in Bitcoin season. Pump the brakes. Don't get too excited. But there's light at the end of the tunnel, maybe, right? It's a long damn tunnel. Here's where the light starts at this blue line, at 25. So we got a long ways to go. But if this continues up through the month of June, you see this continuing to rise, altcoins will come out to play in a bigger way, right? You'll start to see, not elementary school kids playing basketball with you where you look like a rock star, but you'll start to see maybe middle schoolers come out and then high schoolers, and then we get to college and then the pros, and then they take over, and then altcoins just go full dunk contest. Okay. The analogies here, you can't get them anywhere else because they're just made up by whatever's going on up there. Okay. So what else do we got? Quote of the day by Mark Twain. Principles have no real force except for when one is well fed. Good one. Car of the day, Ferrari Testarossa. Now I have two here. This is the original and the bestest. in my opinion. Why? Well, you have your iconic yellow badge. No, if you don't notice, the Ferraris, most of them have a badge up front, and the next one does. But this is one of the rare ones where the early models, the 80s, this is 1986, the first Testarossa, the original wheels, the one mirror. I mean, how iconic is that? One mirror. However, you can't do that in the United States, so they had to update that. And here's the updated. Still looks a little bit more modern. New wheels, the double mirrors, the grill up front now, right? That's where kind of they started doing this, and early 90s they started putting the silver logo up front. But the original Testarossa, this one looks absolutely best. If I were to ever get one, right, just an old school throwback, classic vintage Ferrari, this would be it. The original 1986 with the one mirror, the original wheels. They only lasted on here for a couple of years. Then they started putting the badge on and all this stuff. But this is the one. Right? I mean, pure red on tan. That is the classic Testarossa in my book. I vote this one. Even though I like this one, I like the updated a little bit, but you can't outdo the original most times. All right, that's that, as they say. Hopefully that was eye-opening for Bitcoin a little bit. Hopefully it tests your patience, right? You got to ask yourself, are you buying for the long term and you're good to hold that position for the next several years? And you can use that, you don't need that money for the next 1 to 2 years? That's a long-term buy. If you're buying and then immediately checking the price every 5 seconds, those aren't long-term buys, right? Those are swing trades or day trades, whatever the hell you want to call it. They're not long-term buys, right? If you're buying Bitcoin right here at 26, you're like, this is a long-term buy for 2 years from now. I think this is a good price. You have to be able to, one, live without that money for the next 2 years, and two, not care for it 24K or 30K in 2 weeks from now, right? You're not selling at 30K just like you're not selling at 24K if you're buying here, right? Long-term buys, that's what that is. Anything else is a short-term buy or a swing trade, right? So are you buying for the long term? Then you shouldn't care what we do in the next several weeks to months, right? If you think 26.8 is going to be outdone in 2 years from now, it's a decent price to accumulate at, right? It's near the 200 week. We're near support, right? You're not trying to buy the macro tops and sell the macro bottoms, although that's what most people do. We're trying to buy near a bottom and hold on and ride the wave up, right? The wave's not here yet. This is the initial one, but the bigger ones will come later in the market, towards the end, right? When you start to see, let's go take a look, see, for the bonus for the two of you watching still, right? To get these waves, right? It's most people buy here. That's why they happen, right? This is the sheep buying, right? We're down here. We're the wolves, right? We're trying to slaughter the sheep, right? We're trying to sell them our bags. You can't sell them your bags if you're buying here. You can sell them your bags if you're buying here, right? You want to get in early, right? We're somewhere in this area right now, right? We're somewhere here. I don't know where we are, right? And hopefully no pandemic, but we're somewhere likely in this box. If you were to just blindly throw a dart at any price in here and say you could have bought Bitcoin back in there, wouldn't you instantly say yes? Okay, this is where we are. In 2025, you'll look back and you'll be like, shouldn't I have instantly said yes?